the rotting mitts or whatever it's called. It's an interesting one. I mean, I personally have used it before in a support role Undying, but it does feel a bit underwhelming because you don't generally have much time to sit there right-clicking, and generally speaking as Undying, you are looking to sit back and just get your tombstone down, spam a few decays, you know, get a soul rip in here and there, maybe die, respawn quickly, go in. You get my point, John. I mean, it's not really the style of gameplay for a support Undying to walk up to other heroes in the middle of a fight and start hitting them. Because you're just better off just spamming decay. I'm not sure how this will go.
Yeah, I'm keen on seeing. I mean, then again, if you do play with Undying, like being Flesh Golem centric, the damage amplification is going to feel pretty damn good whenever you get host hits off. And mind you, there is a cheeky combination where you are playing Undying with Wind Ranger with Killshot. Like even as a support duo, there's some kill potential there. So there is some good poke into just the kill shot coming out while you're Flesh Golemed up and right-clicking people with damage amplification. It can be quite nice that way. We'll have to see. I think the lane combination, though, is pretty solid overall, right? Like you've got Sprout and Tombstone that could work together really nicely here for Cuckoo and for Natsumi. They go for a late smoke on both sides. And Talon is a little bit more split up for this one, so there's room for punishment from Execration if they do manage to get the good break here.
Nice ward drop here from Makoto. It's going to see Palos that was smoked up. Meanwhile, the rest of Execration now going to see Jokam getting a nice boundless to start. But Jokam is just going to skill up the wind run and run away. So I suppose you would at least force out the wind run, but even then, like, you might have just wanted wind run level 1 anyway, just to trade harass in the lane. Not really that big of a deal. Meanwhile, Talon fighting over this top rune spot. Shank's going to take a fair bit of damage from this Great Retreat, as he's going to try and get aggressive onto Cuckoo. But it's not really well advised. Like, this is a level 1 Undying you're up against as a level 1 Tusk. It's not a good time.
It really isn't. And
WS. He's also having a bit of a bad time here. John copped a couple rocket barrages, but he's alright.
Yeah, that's the one thing that you will have in spades for the bot lane at the very least. You do have decent amounts of magic damage. Again, you think about this Ringmaster and the Impalement Arts poke. You think about the Rocket Barrage plus the Afterburner facet. Chasing down WS is not going to be too hard. Doesn't have too much to try to block off that damage. Not much Jokam can do in the first 2 levels to kind of even it out. Still, taking a look at that in mid lane, of course, you've got the Monkey King versus Puck matchup. And again, this is pretty solid for Lewis. Mikado shouldn't be too bad off until like level 2 when this Monkey King can apply a little bit more pressure once he has the Jingu up. And he has one of his first Wraith Bands up, building into those brown boots. This is not as smooth for the Puck. Mind you, we've seen Mikado play against Monkey King before, and he has managed to find some ways to work it out. But I do feel like this matchup is a little bit more researched on. Like, more proficient Monkey King players have, or more proficient Monkey King players have figured out how to just completely crush this lane every single time, for the most part.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's like, it took people a couple of years to realize that Monkey King can just hit people from a mile away, apparently. And that's usually a good thing in the mid lane where you're 1v1. And well, as you're seeing, Makoto, a nice juke on the Boundless, at least not allowing the Jingu Mastery proc. But yeah, this lane does not get any easier. I imagine Makoto probably will be forced to start slowly jungling as the levels do come up on Lewis. Meanwhile, of course, bottom lane, we are looking at a bit of a chase onto WS, but there was a creep wave to soak up some of the Rocket Barrage, so nothing really going to come out of that. And this is something else we were kind of talking about. Like, the Centaur, it doesn't really care so much about the Gyrocopter. You know, you can just soak up all the damage, as long as you don't overextend too much. And even with CML there with the Empowerment Arts, it doesn't really feel like it's going to be enough. I feel like if anyone, you're going to try and catch Jokam. But even that's going to be a bit challenging considering he does have Wind Run.
Yeah, it is a fairly annoying lane to try to whittle down. However, you do put WS in a mildly awkward position, right? Like, he's never going to be healthy enough to try to come in, try to get Hoof Stomp punishment. And your levels on Jokam are pretty far back, considering that he's been out-poked in this lane with the Impalement Arts and with a couple of threats from the Flak, and just some right-click out from Palos every time Wind Run is down, which is a lot of times, as your uptime isn't particularly amazing at level 1 Wind Run. There is some threat, again, if you manage to connect your Hoof Stomp Double Edge into the Power Shot Kill Shot. There's some opportunities that can present itself, but you're going to have to wait until maybe level 3 to really start to feel that presence. And for now, it's going to be smooth sailing for Palos, getting that farm that you'd want to see on the Gyrocopter, and it could end up into the Power Treads and maybe a Falcon Blade quite fast. The top lane, last lane we haven't looked at, probably the most awkward lane for Execration. Running double melee into an Undying is never great, even though that double melee is a Dawnbreaker Tusk combination with Tag Team, which theoretically just runs down lanes as we've seen before.
I thought Shanks might try for Natsumi. Seems like Jewel was just like, nah, bruv, I'm a bit too far away to try. I think level 3 for the Dawnbreaker, you could try to make a play on Natsumi for sure. But it is definitely risky. You don't know if Cuckoo has skilled up Tombstone, which currently he's holding on to the skill point, so he's waiting to see if they do want to try and abuse the combo here between the Tusk Dawnbreaker. I think you might want to try it though, and Natsumi, you can see how afraid he is. He knows at any moment he could get caught by the shards. But it's still very awkward though. Cuckoo's doing a pretty good job of just keeping tabs on Shanks. And even this Greater Treant makes it pretty difficult to sneak up onto Natsumi. Are they trying on Cuckoo? I don't think so. They're going to try on Natsumi. Here we go. Can they catch him though? The Greater Treant blocking Shanks back. They do finally catch him, but Jules getting quite low. Who wins this one out? Natsumi's man fighting, but no, they do get first blood on CML of all people. WS ends up going down. Shanks ends up killing off Natsumi. Meanwhile, Jewel dies to Cuckoo. And now we've lost CML.
Yeah, I mean, all that poke down bot is pretty devastating, and if WS isn't too careful with how he balances that HP, and if he gets too aggressive, the poke continues. Cuckoo though, isolated way.
I mean, they've got him in the shards, but it's a pretty awkward kind of Starbreaker from Jewel, and it's not going to be anywhere near enough. Shanks trying to run, Cuckoo on the chase, one more decay, and he gets it. Might cost him his life, but no, apparently probably not even that. Cuckoo will just walk his way out.
Does need a little bit of a reset, but again, you can't afford to get too aggressive for 2 melees into Undying. Even if Natsumi looks nice and juicy to kill off, nice and easy to kill off, just having the protection of Cuckoo is more than enough to kind of make that a punishing ordeal. At the least, Cuckoo doesn't really have that much HP and mana. He's going to go for a reset right now. He'll get killed off by the neutrals while getting that full off, so he will at least come back in with the necessary resources to help play that lane. The tougher time for Talon is still that bot lane. WS is still stuck at level 3. You've got some solid lane management coming out from CML and Palos. Palos is still free farming Storm. There's really not much Joachim can do to provide some relief there. And they even have room to get CML going through the gate up top. Might be able to get a good flank here onto Natsumi.
They could. Cuckoo is back though. He's got that level 2 Tombstone up, so he could drop it straight away, but they are just trying to jump in onto Natsumi and take him down immediately, and that they will. And with that, they should have plenty of time to just go after the Tombstone, but Cuckoo, trying to protect it, is unable to deny it off. So pretty big win here for Execration. I believe Jewel even picked up that gold from the Tombstone on top. So the Dawnbreaker going to be sitting very happy right now.
He is. And Cuckoo's along without Tombstone now.
Ooh, he's very far forward, not respecting CML, maybe sticking around, and they had no vision by the Twin Gate either, John, so they had no idea if he'd left the area. It's a bit of a mistake here from Cuckoo, feeding more gold back the way of Execration, and I guess he's playing positive on Undying, John. He doesn't care that much, but I think you'd much rather not be feeding gold away.
You certainly wouldn't want to be doing that, and now this game just gets a little bit tougher, right? Like, as long as you bring the numbers up, managing that Tombstone, managing the Undying is a lot easier. You don't really have a lane for Natsumi to feel safe in, so he's forced to jungle early, which the Nature's Prophet can do. It's just not going to be a great feeling considering how much Joel will get out of the lane. Level 5 already. Level 6 is going to be accelerating in a solo lane for him. He's going to have that option of Solar Guardian relatively soon considering this game time. And Talon are just off to a bit of a slower start. We have been a little bit quiet on mid. Mikado has been managing mid against this Monkey King matchup really well, considering that we were talking about how favorable for the Monkey King this is. Mikado is still finding some decent farm. It's just he's not able to really connect anywhere just yet. Maybe if he gets lucky on the next power room, things could start to look up here. He only got an illusion, not really the best thing to pin a rotation onto. And even if mid's winning, the side lanes are losing bad enough that this early tempo for Execration, it can start to be a problem.
No, it certainly can. I mean, it is pretty impressive. Makoto has, in fact, hold that thought, because bottom lane, Shanks does find WS, and with the shards to block the way, WS has no chance of getting away, especially with that call down out of damage. Meanwhile, top lane, they'll try again, taking down Natsumi very quickly. Now looking for the tombstone, but Makoto's going to try and protect it, but he cannot. It does go down. Still, they do even have Lewis rotating over, so they cannot finish the kill onto Jewel or CML. A very quick rotation from Lewis, ensuring they could not keep up, and the power shot from Jokam not landing either for the execution onto Jewel. So happy days for Execration, Jonathan. I mean, a nice rotation attempt from Makoto, but he just doesn't quite have enough yet to be a real threat, especially when Lewis is hanging about. And if you're Talon right now, I mean, this start of the game, this is really not what you want. This is a very ugly start for Talon.
No, and it's gonna get worse, right? Joel has Solar Guardian up. They can play around with the mobility of the Monkey King, the ability of Lewis to just be across the map and set up kills that way. You're already seeing a lot of activity out from Shanks, keeping that constant pressure bot. This is one key thing with Talon that we've seen with how they play, right? Like, WS is a big part of how Talon kind of sets themselves up from the offlane. He's had a really slow game. He is still up there in terms of net worth, at the very least, above Lewis. Natsumi's actually copying the shorter end of the stick, but he's certainly not getting that tempo that you normally see. He's normally within top 2, top 3 of net worth. His Centaur just on a really rough start, having to go back for Blade Mail. You know, something like the Blink priority is not going to be there. Extra durability isn't quite there as well, especially considering all the magic damage that is also flying out, along with the physical here.
Shanks is trying to sneak in. Makoto, he does see them. He saw the rotation, so he knows they're hanging about. I mean, this is all allowing Lewis to just keep farming freely at the end of the day anyway. So Makoto, well, he's actually going to try and chip away at them, and does reveal that he is very well aware that they're all there. Probably just kind of expecting them to leave the area and just leave him alone. But Execration, a lot of pressure. Just a lot of sentry wards being placed, D wards happening, ensuring Makoto cannot have the freest game he's looking for, and even the power runes at 10 minutes. Being guarded very heavily, though Lewis getting quite low now. Does have some stick charges, and they will force out the Solar Guardian. Meanwhile, double damage rune for Cuckoo being picked up, but Shanks is going to block the way. Cuckoo's going to try to fight with this Flesh Golem, even dropping the Tombstone. In fact, they're still going. Here comes Natsumi. They're going to try and force the fight underneath the Tombstone. Shanks should at least be going down, and Jewel's in trouble as well, but Jewel, he'll get his way out. Shanks will be the one to drop. The chase is on from Makoto, but oh, Makoto. He went too far, John. Everyone else, they chased the Tusk. Makoto, he was fighting 1v3.
Yeah, a little bit too keen there on Makoto. Kind of split apart, still trying to look for easy pickoffs, but you don't really have any of those options. They are buying some space out, at least getting some activity out for Natsumi to try and catch back into this game, but it has certainly shifted fully into Execration for this early tempo at the very least. Not really remarkable in terms of net worth. You are getting a lot of free space out for Palos, whose Chrysalis is only about 50 gold away. Farming pace kicks up, a lot of fighting presence early on as well for the Dryer Copter once that's up. The one thing for Talon is that their objectives are relatively healthy, outside of bot, which will be committed on. And again, you don't really have options to initiate just yet with how far behind WS is from his blink. So you can't afford to just keep clumping up with this on the side of Exe. There's really nothing stopping you just yet. Talon just have to play a waiting game. Wait for either Stampede to be back up, or just wait for the blink to be fully finished on WS. Until that point, you don't really have anyone that can connect all too well to Makoto, unless people just kind of run into Cuckoo. That's been the ideal for Talon, and even that is not really a particularly great fight. They will try, though. They'll smoke out, Tombstone's back up, Focus Fire's there as well, along with a Coil. They need to find a nice, easy target for themselves, though.
I mean, they've got themselves Lewis. That'd be a nice one if they could deal with him. Instead, though, Palos is even juicier. And he's half HP right now. Cuckoo, he's going to break his smoke. Stampede, of course, going to be popped, and Palos is trying to run. There should be no escape. A very strong rotation here from Talon, finding the primary target that they could have looked for. And well, with that, Talon, of course, they can sit back and relax a little bit now.
Yeah, they put a dent in Palos' progress. He's already at the Chrysalis point, though, so he's not going to be hurting too badly, rushing into the Ags next, but they are keeping the pressure up in certain ways. Like, they've got room down bot, they managed to push it in. Natsumi's reaching that point where You know, once you max out this teleportation, you're going to be across the map, you're going to be farming, you're going to be playing catch-up really quick despite being bot net worth at the moment. And the levels are starting to rack up, right? Especially, I would say, for Cuckoo. Once Cuckoo has some value points in the Solar Rip, maybe the maxed out Tombstone as well, killing off that Tombstone, it's a little bit tougher. You will have to walk in. You are like 3 melee heroes into an Undying. You do have 2 range to kind of poke at it, but whether or not Talos is even in that equation is a different story. They are trying to sneak around in this top front.
They're going to find Cuckoo. He'll drop the Tombstone. They're ready to fight once again. Makoto with a very nice Dream Coil. Landing on 2 as they will snowball away. But here comes the cavalry. Jokam with a very nice Shackle. They'll find CML. There goes Shanks. And now Jewel set to fall to boot. And I suppose this is why they're trying so hard to shut down Makoto. Just so much emphasis by this support duo in the mid lane trying to slow this man down. But it's just a Tombstone plus a Dream Coil and suddenly you just can't fight.
That's just nightmarish. Again, a lot of these engagements you're not going to have Palos early on. So you don't have that big right clicker who can just try to machine gun down the Tombstone. You can't really hope for your Ringmaster to just right click Tombstone either. It's not quite the response you'd want. And going back to your point there, Mike, about Mikado being the emphasis, as the game goes on, this puck just has a freer and freer time. It's down to the fact that, again, you lack hard stuns for a puck. You kind of have to catch Mikado by surprise. You've got to get a boundless strike from the tree line, time that well would say a snowball into a punch, and hope that's going to be enough to give you a burst window to kill off this puck. But as the game goes on, you start to get more tools out for Mikado. He's working into the blink. He's got more damage now with Witchblade. He is starting to play aggressive. They've got Stampede to always back them up now as well from WS. He's been very smart about when to use this. Mainly on the defense, a couple of times on the offense when it's mainly just jumping gap closing onto Palos. But they've got a good read as to how to play around the eccentricities of their draft on Talon and kind of make up for the shortcomings of the slower start. There's still a lot of recovery to be done, but they do manage to wrangle back a slight net worth advantage their way. 8-8 now, with less around 1k up for Talon. You are getting room out for Natsumi. He's got the Maelstrom to start accelerating that farm. Execration for their part, Bill. Still willing to run and gun. They've smoked up. They've got the Orb of Corrosion. They're working onto the Mage Slayer now for Lewis, and they're looking to punish. The issue is their vision's not really catching anyone down bot. They do have the sneaky ward by the Secret Shop, and that is something that they can try to run down if they so wish, but they want the easy target. The Centaur has just been a sitting duck. WS again has not had the best of games. He has managed to recover, equalizing his farm with Joel, and he does have his blink up. So it might be a little bit more complicated to try to catch him out if you don't manage to get that clean initiation. They could try to sneak the Tormentor here, but Talon also has the same idea.
They're coming. They are coming. Talon smoked up, but Execration seem to know that they're on the way. Power Shot will make it pretty obvious. So Lewis, he'll just hang by the tree line, hoping that a Power Shot doesn't fly right through him as well. That would be a horrible start if you are Execration. Nice wraparound here from Talon. They might find Shanks first. In fact, they will. Shackle's going to lock him down. They'll even drop a quick decay and a stun from WS, but a nice box being committed here by CML. And now the snowball. It's going to buy a bit of time. Shanks, though, does still finally go down, but WS now in trouble. Surely they can take down at least the Centaur. And they can. It's a big call down, locking them in. Talon in big trouble. So they'll lose Cuckoo as well. Eventually. Makoto, does he get away? The chase continues. Impalement Arts. Will it land on Makoto? It does not. A nice phase shift and a jaunt away. But Jokam, he's going for a fight again. He's going to try. Onto Jewel. Nice shackles to lock. He's got 2 of them low. Meanwhile, Makoto, though, has dropped. Lewis does take him down. But they'll take down Jewel now. Well, hold on a minute. What's Jokam doing? Oh, Natsumi found him. Oh, Lewis gets taken down a boot. What do you mean? What? How do they lose like that?
I think they get a little bit split apart. You saw Lewis just trying to eye out Mikado. Mikado knowing that he has to kind of weave in and out to provide that space for Jokam. Because if they just back out, it's going to be a straight loss on Tormentor. That's worth way too much gold to give away early on. Even if it does cost them a couple of cores there on Talon's end, they know that they have to stop that Tormentor take, and they do protect. They're not going to be able to take it themselves, but they do stall out that gold swing that would come out for the side of Execration. They stall out, say, a nice power spike with even just the spotlight coming out, if it did come out for the shard on CML. If he gets the RNG win, just more tools to have to contend with on Talon, and they do just kind of double down in that area. It is a very messy set of fights, though. It's not the cleanest way for Talon to kind of engage. They tried to burst down Shanks. He's tanky enough without having really any tank items up. Although Makoto? Token.
He's the Makoto things, a classic Makoto puck, just, you know, showing himself being a bit of a nuisance and just leaving. There's your Ags up now on Palos, so, you know, he's getting more and more of a threat on this gyrocopter, but as you saw that last fight, while he has plenty of damage, it doesn't really seem to matter unless he can stand there and survive through the onslaught of Talon. So they will go for that Tormentor now, the bottom right. And eventually Talon should be able to get it. It's taking them a little bit of time, but they'll get there. Joe Cam now with the shards up for himself. So you've got the Gale Force now available for Joe Cam, which can make a pretty big difference, especially in these kind of tight little, you know, these tight little routes that they have been taking for these fights. And if you are Execration, again, I think Palos, like, while he is still top of the net worth board, I think you are looking for more. Like, at least a BKB into Satanic before you're feeling really confident.
It's going to take a little bit longer in that build-up. Not too long, considering the amount of space Palos has been given. But we are ramping into that point where if you were going to try to shove out, it gets a little bit more challenging. You know, Natsumi has his full Mjolnir. We're trying to siege
Palos.
mid.
Very nice shackle from Joe Cam. Palos, he's in the middle of nowhere right now. He doesn't want to die like this. They'll drop the Solar Guardian, but the Dream Core is going to lock them down as well. And now the big stun. WS is in with 3. Palos is gone. Shanks will try to snowball himself out of this one, but he's going right back into the arms of Natsumi. That'll be 2 down, and maybe make that 3 as Lewis. Trying to run, cannot make it out. Has to go for the fight back. Joe Cam's not done. He'll find another. Shackle to lock down Jewel. Is it a full team wipe? CML's been caught out to boot.
God.
Joe Cam. I mean, you know, you don't see the Gale Force really use that effectively most of the time, John. But Joe Cam showing us the beauty of it.
And he is. And this Atos is doing a ton of work as well. He's not even using it to set up. He shackled first into the Atos as a follow-up stun. And the potential for, I think that's one quirky thing. Power shot with, say, a full Gleipnir now with the added AoE bonus on Gleipnir. I mean, it used to be a farming tool for Wind Ranger, but it could be a potent tool to just kill people off once you have that up. We'll take Roshan off the back of it. Mikado now has a secondary life, already slippery on the puck. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to take care of 2 lives on him. And Talon take control at 11-17. A 7k lead coming out for Talon off the back of that. Off of just really Mikado and Jokam poking mid, waiting for the rest of the team to show up. And I have to say, WS is delivering goods. He had a slow game, the investment's paying off, just the Vanguards making him tanky enough to cop through the majority of the physical output that the side of Execration is leveraging. And once he has his full Crimson Guard up, you're not going to get that burst window out for Palos, and even to an extent, someone like, say, Shanks with a punch. Bursting down these heroes on Talon becomes that much harder for your Gyrocopter, your Monkey King, and your Tusk, even your Dawnbreaker. So you're going to have to find a way of either isolating out WS, forcing a fight while he's not with his team, forcing fights away from these points of control, away from the tier 1, away from the towers, if at all possible. But it's Talon that's kind of in control of the map. Like, they're clumping up bot, they're playing that split push up now with Natsumi. He's almost got the Hurricane Pike for some ways of getting in and out of these engagements. And again, this split push is just set to keep ramping up with that full Mjolnir, with this Nature's Prophet Pause 1 that we've seen quite a few times yesterday. There's that Crimson Guard we were talking about on WS up and running. So your physical play now on the side of Execration, it's going to be lacking quite a fair bit here.
It certainly feels that way, Jonathan. Talon, they had a horrible start to the game, a terrible laning stage, but mid-game they're completely outclassing Execration, at least for now. Stampede committed top lane. They have found Natsumi. That's a big pick-off. Execration, can they get away? Joe Cam with the Gale Force at least going to lock down Jewel, but he's still got help around him. Jewel's not really that much in danger yet. Joe Cam's still trying to hold him down. Now the Swoop Stomp is in from WS. They'll still continue onto the Dawnbreaker. Coil is there now, onto 3 targets. They're locked in, but they've got the Wukong's command to try and protect them. They're all pretty tanky. Talon, they've still got that Tombstone going, but now it's down, and I think the fight's over for Talon. They need to get the hell out of there. Jokam being chased. Makoto going to jump back in, trying to snipe the Tusk. Shanks does finally go down. Cuckoo, meanwhile, trying to run south. Meanwhile, Lewis trying to run towards the west. Will get saved here by CMO with the escape art, but not for long. Lewis getting shackled by Jokam will go down. Makoto's on the chase again. Cuckoo will get taken down by Palos. CML is going to make it just barely. WS unable to reach him in time. But they will find an... Oh, that's a big one. That's a big one. Palos getting caught by the first hero to go down in the first place. The fight lasted that long, Natsumi respawn.
And you know, Boss Cuckoo has to send the message to his fellow Cuckoos. A little tip for Palos. Because Palos did kind of chase down Cuckoo across the map, across that fight, all the way back towards that tier 1 area. And it does pay off. Talon, we're seeing a lot of good things coming out, right? Like this Crimson Guard from WS, they can afford to stand in that Wukong's, no problem. They can afford to cop some of the Flak Cannon from Palos, no problem. This durability Talon's getting as a team, this pickup from WS is just overwhelming. You don't quite have the magical damage to counteract it in a bursty way. You do have steady magical damage with the Impalement Aurits, with maybe a good Tame the Beast and Wheel of Wonder if you can line that up. But you are still heavily reliant, again, on the right clicks on Palos, on the right clicks from Lewis with that Wukong's command. And it's just not enough at this point. You even have the Pavis coming out for Cuckoo into a full Solar Guardian down the line. And as long as Talon manages to connect with these auras, killing someone off is just not easy. Like, they killed off Natsumi because he didn't have any of those auras near him. Once the whole team was on top, though, even taking a 4v5, it just becomes really difficult for you to try to use all of this farm on your 2 big cores here on the side of Execration.
Here we go again. Talon on the chase. They found Palos another time. They really can't afford to keep seeing Palos die like this. Dreamcore committed on to the Ringmaster instead. Now WS jumping in, but a snowball to save, at least for now, for Palos, but he's just so deep now. He's going to go for the man fight. A nice shackles, though. Jokam locking him down. They're still trying for WS. WS somehow still alive. Finally will drop. They've lost Palos. They've lost Palos again. In fact, they lose Shanks and CML to boot. Cuckoo, he might go down, and he does to Lewis. But who gives a crap? Jokam executing Lewis for killing the leader. And Makoto, he's still having a look for more. He won't find it. But it doesn't matter, John. It's another 2-for-4 trade. Age is still intact for Makoto. At least for another 5 seconds. And Execration, John, can I just say it? I don't know why they're fighting without this BKB on Palos. I don't know. Even before the Satanic. I realize they're being chased here in their own triangle, but I don't know. There's got to be better places to farm than that. There really does. Because you've got no BKB, you've got no lifesteal. Like, what are we doing?
It kind of boils back to playing against Nature's Prophet. All the lanes are shoved in. Even if they wanted to try to sneak up top or try to take control down bot, Talon just constantly shoves in the waves, makes it really frustrating for you to try to extend into that area to find farm. And just makes it nightmarish as they chase down.
I guess nowhere really is safe, John. Jewel being chased here. Natsumi's going to find it. He's not locked down yet, but Makoto is on the chase with a Dream Core already whenever. He just needs to close the gap. He's got Blink in one, and Jewel, yeah, he's gone. No core necessary, I don't think. They'll just lock him down and take him out. Natsumi now picking up another kill for himself on the Nature's Prophet. Well, there's that BKB finally coming out, the Palace that we talked about. It's just, again, I think a Satanic is in order before we really see something happen here for him.
Yeah, it's just more time they need. He doesn't even have his full damage out yet. You know, staying on Crystal is going for that defensive BKB first. I think one thing as well that Execration might have to consider, it feels like you're going to need a nullifier as well. You need to take care of these barriers. Like, there is just a little bit too much coming out whenever WS, like, you see him charge forward, copying damage from 4 heroes plus Wukongs, and it takes him a solid 5 seconds to die. That's not a good sign. No. When you're all physical like this. When all WS wants is for all of you to hit him with Blade Mail anyhow, with return damage on top. It's just a little bit too much. A nullifier would be a decent pickup. It's just very low in the totem pole. And it's one of those tools that will give them a lot, but they don't really have room to consider that yet. right? Like Palos now going back for the Daedalus, not opting for the Satanic first, just want to be able to have some damage on hand. You have even more armor coming out though for Talon. AC up for Natsumi, as they're ready to smoke out and keep this hunt. Like, there's still a tier 2 holding them back from the high ground. Roshan's still 40 seconds away from respawning, but Mikado just doesn't care.
I mean, he's certainly at the stage now where he just understands it's going to be incredibly hard to kill him. Like, there's just too much committal. And now with an Octarine core on top, so matters just got heaps worse. If you are Execration, at least Jewel does pick up his Aghanim Scepter now on the Dawnbreaker, but I just wonder what difference it's going to make now. Like, sure, it's going to buy you heaps of time with the evasion, the bonus you're going to get from that, but I don't know. Can they kill Mako? They're watching it. They know the puck's in the low ground of this Radiant Triangle. Meanwhile, Jokam going to rotate through to the outpost, so he'll get bursted down surely. He got the wind run off, though. He's actually fine. Jokam's out of there. In fact, never mind, he's not. He came back in. He will die, but here comes the real fight now. WS in. They're going to find at least a tusk here. Stampede being popped as well, but nobody's dropping yet. Execration. Maybe this is the fight they wanted. They'll take down WS. Can they deal with Makoto? They cannot. They'll give up on him, instead chasing down Natsumi, who does TP away. But they'll find Cuckoo. And Jokam, I want to say for the first time this game, making a bit of an awkward error there, coming back in to try and force the fight. And does get punished for it. His whole team does, in fact. Makoto, jumping in again. Yeah, this man's just not done yet, John. CML almost dying to the damage output of this Parasma. But he does save himself with the escape art. Escape act, excuse me.
I think Jokam had the right idea. It's just the execution from Talon fell flat. The response was a little bit slower. Natsumi got caught with Wheel of Wonder towards the tail end of that fight and just couldn't engage in. And they kind of split Talon apart one by one. Like, if the response was a little bit quicker, if there were heroes on top as the shards was coming in, for example, as the Solar Guardian jump in fades and the pulses fade.
He's alright. He's alright. You were saying, John?
Yeah, I mean, that's what Execration needs to kind of do. Like, force Talon to, or try to catch Talon off guard before they're fully ready to clump back in. Like, while they're farming around here, you're gonna need some wards down. You only really have defensive wards coming out right now on Execration. You'd want something maybe a little bit deeper. Maybe starting to consider Roshan as well, considering the next Tormentors whenever you want to kind of get control on those objectives. That's your ticket back in for Exit. Just catch Talon while they're going off one by one. You have Solar Guardian. You can kind of just run 2 heroes down plus Solar Guardian on top. Can simplify the game a little bit. And again, Tormentors tend to get ignored. Well, not in a lot of matches. Yesterday we were seeing quite a fair bit of well-timed Tormentor takes every single time it respawned. This time around, it's being left open a little bit more. And you do have vision kind of protecting your own area somewhat into the Torm. I'd like to see Execration try to take some sort of objective. Not even just the tower. Like, the Tormentor alone is a pretty good gold swing. Shards are always a nice little power spike to give to the supports. And that could be one way to kind of force Talon to respond a little bit erratically than you'd expect them to. Kind of just go in one by one once more.
You know, you and I haven't really had the pleasure of casting ever since these this new patch dropped, by the way, John. So I haven't had the pleasure of asking you this, but this serrated Shiv neutral item, it just feels so stupid. Like, how did this neutral item get so much? You see that? 20% of True Strike plus 8% current. I mean, come on now. That's a bit much. Yeah. And then, in case you wanted Roshan, John, here's an extra 200 damage. Oh, and by the way, you get your enchantment on top. Enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly the 200 damage on Roshan, the flat bonus is a little bit much. It is. We do have a smoke on smoke as well. This could end up being quite the opening for X if they do manage to break this fight out in the way they'd want. They've got some interesting angles here.
Look at the way Talon approach this, John. They bring both Makoto and Jokam to the front, knowing that neither one of them can die that quickly, and they're already going to find at least the support. CML being caught, but the Glimmer Cape does save now Palos. He popped his BKB pretty early for this team fight. They're going to stampede away. Everything's been used here for Execration. They need to run. This is not the fight they wanted. Dreamcore to lock him down, though. They'll pop at least the Wukong's command to try and protect Palos on that gyrocopter, but it's still Talon moving in, trying to force the fight. Palos still looking for an angle into this one, but he's been caught out. Natsumi's got him. Palos is down. Cuckoo's still moving on for Lewis. Lewis could not deal with him. Lewis will die. Natsumi with a double. Makoto picks off another. And it's 4 down for the price of nothing. What? I don't want to be critical, John, but that was a very, very, very quick BKB usage. Very early.
It was. I mean, I do respect that. I think Palos did have the understanding if WS did manage to get that stun, he would just be dead. Right? Like, he did manage to get that initiation on WS. They did manage to force the issue. The thing is, it just goes back to this draft. Like, with the center pickup, and we were talking about this in the draft, there's all these ways for Talon to just weave in and out. With the Puck, with the Wind Ranger, and with Stampede, they can just easily disengage, and that's exactly what they did in the last engagement. Your control here on Execration is just lacking. You're reliant on shards to choke them out. If that doesn't connect, good luck in trapping Talon in anything meaningful here. There just isn't enough to get full value out from Wukong, to get full value out from a turret like Charlie.
Oh, you don't want to get picked off like that, Jewel. He'll be okay. He'll back out, but the chase is on now. Shank's trying to find a straggler, but no, the turnaround now. Talon, they weren't done. Escape Act will give him a chance at life, but not for long. It seems as though they will lose Shanks. The chase continues. The buyback from Shanks. But nobody's been caught yet. Makoto jumping back in. Bit of a warning shot here towards Jewel. And of course, WS, he had the Stampede the whole time.
That's a little bit over keen on Exe. It's going to cost them if Shanks dies again. That's a key tool taken away. No blink snowball saves, no blink punch stuns with a snowball as well, which is kind of key in trying to follow through from, say, a good boundless, if you can even connect one from Lewis to stun Makoto. They'll try to compensate it with the smoke. Talon right now a little bit fractured, so if you can get a catch out here, it could lead to some good things. Hold on.
They don't want to go up there, John. They don't want to do it. There's an amp damage on Makoto. This is not going to be fun. He's got Ags as well, by the way, John. And shards. Don't do it, boys. Don't start Roshan either. I know the serrated Shiv is making it tempting. Jump in, Palos. This is not the time. He's caught. He's lost half his HP already. He'll try to heal up with the Solar Guardian. Try to fight back, but it's not looking good. They'll drop the Tombstone now from Cuckoo. He's still man-fighting here. Palos will deal with the Tombstone at least. But they've lost Lewis. They've lost Palos. And I think they've lost the game. GG's called. They've had enough. Talon. John, you know, let me critique Talon for a second. Their laning stage was abysmal. But they still completely outclass Execration.
That they do. I think it's a little bit of the opposite of what we saw yesterday, Mike, where Talon had some outs rather interesting. You've got fairly slippery here on that Ricky. You have his stupidly annoying timing with a shard, which I feel like is just... It feels like, you know, Ricky's gone through all these moments where he's been annoying in different ways, and I feel like everyone's forgotten when this smoke screen used to be just how smoke screen was for a short period, where you wouldn't see outside smoke screen, you wouldn't be able to be targeted in smoke screen as well. It was a little bit stronger back then. And it's just a nuisance. I think there's some interesting plays you can get done with X's draft.
What have they said here?
Again,
Well, what's Joel said promote Ka it, and then Cuckoo said good luck Paps, and then he said Puro Kubra. What does that mean, John?
Joel's saying Natsumi's promoted.
Okay.
All this is good luck. But it's all Kubra's what? It sounds like all broken, something like that, or all fake. I'm not sure. That's a word I never run into.
Aren't you Filipino? Are they speaking?
Yes.
Are they speaking Indonesian or something, John? They're speaking Filipino. Come on now,
it's just
John.
a word I've never heard this word Kubra. Never. Okay. In my day-to-day life. I'm interested.
Any viewers in the chat, if you want to correct John,
never used that word.
You're definitely going to be correcting John. God knows he's wrong every time he translates. He has no idea what he's saying. Old Johnny X Fire. Execration. Well, at least Makoto, he's going to back off at the right moment. Joe Cam and WS, though, are going to try and move on to Palos, but Palos has got help around him, but it's only CMO moving down. Are they actually just going to leave Palos to die? He's okay. He's alright. The march does scare them off enough. The thing is, though, if you're Talon, you might want to just leave him like this. You know, low HP, no regen. Make him run back to the fountain or just bully him like Joe Cam is. Just wait. Palos forced the TP already. If you find a kill now, which is pretty... You know, there's a good likelihood. Could be a pretty disastrous start for Palos.
You're not going to feel good He does get caught out once more. At the very least, you know, you don't quite have the Hawk back up. You don't quite have the War back up. And the lane is shoved relatively alright. Kind of close to the tower right now, so diving isn't really a safe bet. But this is going to be problematic for good old Palos. He does have a couple of stick charges up, and because he ate a tree, his Tango is lasting a little bit longer, filling him up quite nicely. JoeCam is managing the lane as he normally would as a Tusk, getting the pulse off, as we are taking a gander at mid lane as well. It's that Riki versus Storm matchup. Again, theoretically, this isn't actually too bad for the Riki. You have tricks to dodge out these Remnant, you can dodge out the Overload, you've got Smokescreen down the line if you do get the value point up, and you can apply a lot of damage onto Mikado, which Lewis has done quite nicely. So it's not a smooth lane for Mikado by any means. Lewis, as long as he manages to utilize his spells properly, should be fine to manage. But Mikado as well in that interim period will be able to clear out these creep waves with not too much contention. Like, he's going to get his farm, he's going to get his EXP, and he's fine until level 6 here.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of saying. Like, how much emphasis are we really going to see from this Riki as the game goes on, I wonder. I suppose only time's going to tell us. Bottom lane, JoeCam. It takes a bit of damage, but not really too afraid yet, though. He's going to move in again, looking for a range creep deny. A lot of damage being dealt by CMO. But JoeCam's got plenty of regen. Like, he's very confident in this position. WS, of course, having a fantastic old time on the Beastmaster as well. At the very least, they didn't find a secondary kill onto, or rather the first kill onto Palos, so he didn't have to make any kind of walk of shame. And he's sitting pretty happy himself on the Tiny now, so I suppose it's happy days for both sides tonight.
Yeah, you're getting your build-up you'd want on Palos. He does manage to ferry out some regen, although...
I mean, they're going, but CML actually just going to turn onto JoeCam. JoeCam's going to be the one to die. The WS almost just baiting his own teammate in. WS now trying to get aggressive onto CML, but it's all too late. Now, they were trying to abuse the fact that CML did not have much of the machines off cooldown. But it seems like WS didn't really want to commit all the way.
Doesn't really have that much to play with. It's not like he's got the beast mode active yet. Like, Inner Beast isn't leveled up. You don't tend to get that value point early on, so you're not feeling that additional damage with the Axis buff. And you have to respect the avalanche damage coming in. If you don't even have the full Avatar yet, just avalanche alone can kind of whittle down. And JoeCam was playing on edge for a while with all those pulls and locks, so he puts himself in a little bit of a precarious spot. Fortify just to ensure the creep wave shoves under tower means they can try a little bit of a dive here.
JoeCam, it's got shards up, will commit it. CML going to try for the TP play out. Oh, the nice hawk dive though. So CML just hoping that'd be a creep that takes it instead, but it was not the case. CML does go down. Now Palos trying to get a little bit aggressive here, but this is a little bit scary. He knows the shards aren't up for another 5 seconds, but they're still going. I mean, Palos is really playing with fire here because JoeCam, he's got it now available. Palos, what are you doing, sir? I mean, he might just be dead here. Palos getting dived into the tier 1 tower. And a lot of interesting aggression here from Palos, but obviously not really paying off.
Not quite. At the least, you know, he's not going to walk back to lane. TP's off cooldown, like you mentioned there, so not going to be hurting from that lane too badly. There's a low amount of mana and HP on WS, but he does have Arcane Boots flying in, and we'll try to get the salve going as well. Already off to a really strong start now after a little bit of that back and forth, a little bit of that poke onto JoeCam. They are managing to get their spike level 3 up now. They have this potential for value point and snowball.
Top lane. Cuckoo's going to get away. Natsumi's going to jump in, and with the Fatal Bonds out, they might actually just have Joel, but Shanks luckily will be able to win run away from Natsumi. And that's a lane we really haven't discussed too much, but it seems like Talon, at least this top lane, having a really good time. And well, this does go back to the Warlock, right? Like, this hero, while we do have our questions about it, laning stage-wise with Shadow Word, it's pretty hard to actually stop the carry from farm.
And it is. You've always got the sustain out for Natsumi. Theoretically, not a bad lane for Joel, but if you do overextend, you know, there's a lot of good damage to be done with Fatal Bonds, with Shadow Word applying in an AoE now. There's some good slow, steady burn onto Joel. He's forced to salve up really early on. At the least, Natsumi doesn't really have the mana to sustain. He does have 9-stick magic wand charges up at the very least to try to get the spell spam out. And he does have that early Orb of Blight could go just finish up the corrosion before the brown boots as well to keep that damage output going. I like what they've done on the side of Talon as well. They've got the tree line for some offensive spears here. So.
Nice TP from Jokam. They're trying to move in onto the Tusk, but a nice snowball right back the way of Joel, bringing Natsumi in to ensure they have the damage. And Jokam, he's still got the shards up. He's waiting for Shanks to commit the Windrunner. Now they can move in for another. Shanks trying to run, but Jokam, he'll just tank the tier 1 tower hits, and eventually Natsumi picks up a double kill on that PA. And he was already having a great old start on this Phantom Assassin, so these kills really going to start allowing him to escalate quite fast.
And it will. He's got enough to finish up his power treads or just assemble it out into the Orb of Corrosion very early on. Yeah, just the power treads coming in, staying on the Orb of Blight. You've still got this amazing mid lane coming out from Mikado as well after we've left it for a while. Again, he's managed to take control, and he is 42-15 in comparison to Lewis at 23-1. Like, this Ricky has not really achieved what you'd want it to. Mikado has 6 now. He's got the ball. He's got amp damage. He's clearing out stacks that you've built up. All of that gold bleeding away now into the storm. At least they are aware, but they can't really do anything to stop it. And Mikado is going to look for that rotation into the Shrine of Wisdom now with the timing lining up here.
Oh, he's got an amp damage run on top. It's just such a hard task now for Execration to try and counter. Shank's going to move up, but this could be a pretty bad decision on his part unless they have more heroes incoming. CML is there. They're bringing Lewis in as well. They're going to try and commit for this. The fight is on. They will commit once again. There's Lewis jumping in now with a smokescreen to ensure that they cannot follow up. So Shrine of Wisdom, it'll be a 1-for-1. Natsumi still seems to want to fight. They might lose Jokam, but he gets a snowball off in time. Lewis hasn't got him yet. Jokam, he'll finally die. So CML to take the kill now, looking for more. But I don't really think they have the lockdown. Not at least without a diffusal blade on Lewis. And so Makoto going to be just fine to walk out with the rest of them, but they do at least punish the Tusk.
That they do. And they do find their Shrine of Wisdom anyhow as well, so a little bit of bonus for all of that clumping up, a little bit of EXP flowing their way. You are giving a lot of free room out for WS. That is still a concern. His bot lane, he's still farming up a storm. Palos has managed to just be comfy in the jungle now with the level 3 tree grab. He's got some good farm going for himself, but this timing on the Beastmaster is where it gets really scary, right? Like the Ags timing for WS already one part in, has enough for the point booster.
They're looking again, John. I mean, you see Jokam, he's always looking for the angle. CML will be forced to TP in. Jokam's still having a gander. CML, did he get spotted? No, he doesn't. They'll still try for Palos. More TPs incoming. If Jokam gets away here, it's a pretty big deal. That's 2 TPs committed now. Even more coming in though. Talon, they're committing the numbers. They want the big fight. Natsumi and Kuku now joining, and they've got the golem up and ready whenever. Oh, Kuku, can he drop it in time? No, he's been silenced. Kuku will be the first one to fall before the golem comes out, but the fight does continue. Still Jokam with a snowball landing on the high ground. Might mean his own death now, as the rest of Talon just looking to escape. Oh, what a shackle though. Catching Natsumi and WS. And that'll be Jokam going down as Talon. They need to escape. Double kill to Lewis. And happy days if you're Execration, avoiding a pretty nasty kind of gank that was incoming.
They don't quite have the vision game from Talon to keep track there either. It's not like they have these sentries in that area where they were planning to play with Kuku. They were expecting the fight to break out elsewhere. Whoop.
Nice Spear Arena from our Mars, but the turnaround is here once again. Natsumi has help incoming. They've got the numbers though on Execration. In fact, all 5 heroes are here and ready to fight, but can they do it? They've got pretty much a fatal bond to be committed here. Jewel, he does go down, but Natsumi does as well. Makoto's going to continue trying and does pick off CML. Jokam now looking for more. They'll find Shanks. Shanks, they've got no shards here for Jokam, but they've got plenty of mana available for Makoto, and they don't even need it. Jokam will get taken, or rather take down Shanks. And Lewis actually kind of reveals himself by running through that static remnant, but it won't matter. As even Palos goes down. WS, without the Ags up yet, takes him out on the tiny.
He was fairly low HP coming through the gate. I didn't expect him to just try to go back farming. I expected if they felt confident top, just stick around, maybe look for a counterplay, maybe look for a shove in as respawns come out, but it was a good start for Execration. Like, killing off Natsumi, not losing Palos would have been a good stop. You know, even losing your supports, even losing Joel, it doesn't matter. You're slowing down this PA, you're slowing down that timing into the Battle Fury, you're hitting your own early spikes. But Talon are still managing to keep this game in their early control. 5 to 8, 4K lead up, 2 parts away for the Ags now for WS. Almost, basically almost just 1 part away, considering that he's only 200, 100 gold-ish away from one of these components. And once you hit that Ags timing, things just get worse. You know, you've got the drums speeding away, you've got a little bit of spell lifesteal to feed off of for WS to tank the front line. You've got a really free game coming through for Mikado, as he's already working his way into his full Kaya. He's got 6 galvanized stacks up to maintain. He's got the soul ring to keep that aggression. Lewis still doesn't have the answers. Like, the Diffusal Blade is coming out soon. And the one saving grace for Execration right now is that the sentry coverage is limited, just by virtue of how sentries are. They aren't stocked up as fast as you'd want them to be. You don't have the inventory space, and you might not even want Mikado to have to carry that dust himself anyhow. So it is still free for Lewis to kind of zip in and out, and that's also one of the things that's allowing Execration to look for these plays. But eventually you're just going to have someone with the dust, and that's where, again, the Ricky might lose a little bit of its luster coming into that diffusal timing here. 5 to 8 3K lead. Again, Talon just kind of needing to build up on Natsumi a little bit more. They've been very happy to play with Mikado. And WS is still getting way too free of a game. Like, we've seen some teams, when they're up against Talon, like, block the triangle, block these side camps on top, just to ensure that his Beastmaster doesn't get the farm. He's going to have that Ags in, like, a minute or two here.
Mid lane, they're trying to secure a power rune. Mikado does pick up a shield rune for himself. Not quite the rune he would have liked, but still good. Still could come in handy. Of course, Lewis did leave the mid lane there for a moment, and there is going to be a smoke out now from Talon off the back of that power rune. They're going to head up towards the top lane. Joel is currently farming the area. Jump in from Natsumi, stifling dagger out, but that's going to be oh, never mind. It's not going to be about it. Mikado has jumped in and committed. Jewel getting the golem dropped right on top of his head, and they will ensure they get him plus the tier 1 top tower.
Straight into that push. One of the strengths, again, having that Warlock. Like that commitment out from Kuku. Just knows, alright, we're right by the tier 1. We can take a quick objective. We can buy more space out. And we're forcing a lot of issues on the side of Execration. WS has his Ags. His farm pace kicks into overdrive. We're going to work into a Blink or a BKB next. Have that gap close. And the tempo we've been looking for from Exit just isn't there yet. You know, Palos does have that Echo Saber up and running. Has a little bit more damage coming in, a little bit more durability as well. The Diffusal for Lewis, almost there. You know, 400 gold away. And once that's up, you can start to cause some issues, especially for Mikado, who's not able to have enough mana or has to drain significantly more going into these fights. You do have some ways of stopping that. I just feel like Talon's getting away with too much in farm. Like, they're forcing these fights on their terms every single time. If they don't have Golem, they're probably not going to be looking to fight in a wider team fight at the very least. They still have control of their side of the river. No one's stopping these stacks. No one's stopping them from feeling comfy and just playing the lanes. And for the side of Exe, feels like a lot of this is just kind of down to waiting for initial blink timings. Right? Like a blink up for Joel to open these fights, to follow through from Lewis. The Shadow Blade from Palos in replacement of the blink. Also going to do a lot of work once that's fully farmed up. But that's still some time away, especially that Shadow Blade for Palos still needs a lot more time. The blink for Joel is starting to slowly, steadily build into. But again, it's just while you're farming that blink up, Talon's just more efficient. They're crossing the river, they're taking your camps away, they're getting that build up, they've hit their early spikes. WS is top net worth, and we will see them contest Roche. And with the drums up, it doesn't take too long here to clean it out.
Absolutely not. It's going to be a very quick process between the Beastmaster and Jokam, of course, with the tag team up. And I mean, it seems like Execration, even if they have an idea that this is happening, there's not really much they can do about it. They're not in a position to try and initiate at this stage of the game into the Roshan pit. Then they are a couple hundred gold off Joel's Blink Dagger on the Mars, but not going to matter anymore. WS does have the Aegis now up on the Beastmaster. And of course, he's only a couple hundred gold away from his own Blink Dagger jump. So Ag's up, Blink Dagger on the way very soon for this Beast. And considering Talon have won practically every lane in this game number 2, it is already looking pretty damn dire if you ask me for Execration. Especially, again, considering, John, they're playing with a mid-Ricky who does want to play off momentum. And right now, the momentum is certainly not their way.
No. Gets even worse. The free shard being taken from the Tormentor. A lot of gold coming in for Talon as well. You've got more utility coming up with Cuckoo. Once he has that value point in upheaval, which he's completely ignored at the moment, not even necessary just yet. 5 to 9, 9k lead. Talon just constantly in the aggression, right? Like they've got that blink, as you mentioned. They're ready to go. They've got the galvanized stacks. They've got the Kaya up in Mikado. They just need a target. They're set to collapse onto mid. That mid tier 1 is still up, so you have a good point of control here for Exit to try to force this fight, but they need to get a good angle out with Joel. He has to land this Arena Spear.
WS jump in. The Arcane Rune was at least picked up by Shanks in time, but it's not going to save his life. He is down. Now the zip in from Makoto. He'll find the backlines immediately jumping in onto Joel. Joel trying to survive. They'll drop at least that shadow, but it won't really matter. Joel still alive though. It's actually WS going down. Joe Cam also in danger, is trapped in the arena. They'll take the Aegis away, but can they keep the fight going? Joe Cam gone. WS caught a secondary time. And in fact, he is going to die. The smoke screen out from Lewis in the middle of that fight, allowing the arena drop from Joel. It really did make all the difference. They could not follow up once that smoke screen came out.
I mean, that's going to be a growing issue for Talon, especially as you approach that. Ag shard timing for Lewis. Really cheeky for Mikado, dodging out the spear, forcing out the arena. We're not quite seeing the value from Victory Feast yet, as no one's dying in the arena of blood, but it is forcing Talon to play much more conservatively than I think they'd like. They're also lacking that straight-up burst damage. We've seen a couple of fights where Natsumi's been joining in. Now he's just sitting back, working his way into the BKB first, which is the smarter play, but that does mean there's a little bit of a lack of that burst that you've been looking for, a lack of that follow-through jump-in from the Storm and the Beastmaster coming out. These two supports of Tusk and Warlock don't really provide the same kind of presence as Natsumi would, of course. And you're just going to have to recognize that going 4v5 might not pan out your way. Aegis being taken out, a little bit of that tempo from Talon knocked down. And the side of Execration starting to get confident. I mean, Diffusal up on Lewis. They're going on the hunt. They've got the smoke out. With a Ricky, very easy to try to scout forward to find some easy pickings. Natsumi could be a pretty good target if they had a right sense to go into the area closer to the high ground, but it's a fairly well-protected area with tier 1s, tier 2s still standing there.
Yeah, they're not really going to find anybody farming this area, sadly, for Execration. So they might go through the Twin Gates, see if they can find someone on the southern side, and, well, there is WS and Jokam currently hanging about in that Radiant jungle. In fact, I believe Palos may have just spotted WS out there for a moment. Doesn't really have a great way of breaking the gap, though. Oh. Meanwhile, they are going to find themselves Jokam. So it's not a bad kill if they can get it. Jokam, though, going to buy himself a little bit of time with the snowball. Can they continue the follow-up? Lewis? Oh. Okay, there you go. Blink Strike is out. Jokam, still alive. Has a blink up it. Oh, no. Arena Town, they'll get it. Okay. I mean, it was pretty messy, but they got the job done.
Takes a lot of rotations out. I think Talon's happy enough to just drag all of these heroes away from their bigger cores farming, away from WS, who's relatively close by, away from Mikado, who's building into a BKB, away from Natsumi, he just wants to finish up the BKB as well, flying out now into the Sanjin Yasha. I think this BKB alone on Natsumi could lend them some favorable outcomes in fights, but not having that safety net for Mikado and for WS is a little bit of a risk. They're just going to have to play passive here on Talon. And as long as it's only Kuku and Jokam dying, you're relatively happy here. Execration, they need some bigger kills. They did double down in the Invis. You know, Palace finishes up that Shadow Blade, going to the Silver Edge for some breakage next. And the Talon just kind of need to double down on their ward coverage. They already have some pretty solid sentries across the map to keep track. Trying to get the jump on Talon is going to be a little bit trickier. And again, Talon getting them confidence with a 1 BKB will try for their own smoke play out now.
They sure will. The only person they really spotted out there was the Tinker in the mid lane, but of course CML has just gotten out of there immediately with the TP. So Joel is the next best thing they'll find if they do continue running south, that is, and for now they will not. It seems like Joel should be okay to slowly make his way back to the base. Seems pretty safe behind that tier 2 tower. Talon, probably not too stressed about this, though. I mean, I'm pretty sure they'll be looking at this draft versus draft situation and just think that they do have the better scaling to go on into the mid to late game. I mean, I suppose at some point you do have to start worrying about Palos, especially once that Silver Edge is up, but now things are pretty quiet, and you do have a PA Beastmaster Storm, and chances are you're not going to drop off that quick.
No, you aren't. Like, at this point, they're just really waiting for the next 2 BKBs to be online, align this triple BKB timing before taking these engagements. They are still being a little bit forward with Cuckoo and WS, but just kind of locking in a responsive push, ensuring that, you know, no split push shenanigans out from CML. Smoke out from Exedo, and with some timings up, with some of that damage coming in from Palos and Lewis, they are getting some tools ready for themselves. The Ag's not quite up on a Ricky yet. Again, it does have the shard. It's really the smoke screen shard that can cause issues. No saves, no heals, nothing you can do when someone's caught in the smoke screen. And that can make the world of difference here for some key pickoffs.
Oh, Makoto, he's the primary target too if they can see him, and Palos has spotted him out. The Yule Scepter is there from Joel to try and lock him down. Makoto, he's got some help incoming. Natsumi's going to pop the BKB. They do take down Makoto. It's still a good fight, but maybe not for long because they've caught out the Tiny with the roar of WS. Joel will go down to boot, and Lewis, he's been left behind. He'll go down as well. A double kill for WS, but a triple kill for Talon. And yeah, it comes at an expensive cost of Makoto, but I'd still say they got a lot of value out of that one, John. Very happy for Talon.
I don't know, they're certainly glad about that. Good BKB usage out from Natsumi. Very forced fight. Again, they're fighting in an area where the tier 1 still stands. They're fighting right by the tier 2.
Oh,
not the most well-protected area. Well,
couldn't even get the Shrine of Wisdom. It's the blink in from Chokam, not allowing him to take it. And yeah, it's just slowly getting worse and worse. Now with the full BKB up on WS, like, how are you even going to deal with this Beastmaster now, John? He's a big problem, this guy.
Yeah, you're really not going to deal with him. And the key thing is that Talon Makoto is stalling out the BKB. That's a very important timing to delay on Execration, as once Mikado is BKB, this Ricky counteraction is just, it's not there. Like, smoke screen is useless. You're not going to be able to lock in the storm through that silence any longer.
Oh,
the shard just disappears in usefulness.
Hold on a minute here, John. Natsumi's been spotted. Palos going to jump in. They'll see if they can burst him down, but this is a PA we're trying for. Natsumi's still fine. He's going to turn. He's just going to turn right away. They'll jump in on Palos. Palos still okay, but W has to jump in. The roar is out. That'll be enough for Palos. He's down. So is CML and Lewis. And that time, John, I'm going to be straight up. I don't know what they were thinking. They didn't have a Silver Edge up yet. Maybe if you had the break, you know, that would have made a bit more sense. But without the Silver Edge, there was no chance.
Yeah, I think they overestimated the damage on Avalanche Toss. Like, you needed even just Joel there if you wanted that. Right? Like, maybe a Spear plus God's Rebuke would have been alright.
He was 80 gold off. Just buy it. Just buy it first. Oh.
I mean, you know, it's one of those things. They have that sense of urgency. They know BKB's down. They feel like they can just burst him down in that window, and they just can't. It's not even possible now with the full Sanjin Yasha up, as Natsumi's not going to be chain stunned for too long. Roche going to set to fall. Roche number 2 with Aegis and the banner. That's going to lead into probably our first high ground siege of the game coming out at this point. Silver Edge is fully assembled now, as you asked for, Mikey. So, you know, if they try that again, maybe it works out at this point. But with 2 lives, oh no.
Yeah. Yeah, there goes Lewis. Right. And to make matters worse, John, Makoto's now bottled up an amplified damage rune. So, you know, that's problematic for this next team fight if you're Execration. WS, meanwhile, apparently just killed off Shanks on his own down at bottom lane. And now, if you are Execration, I feel like you're going to have to watch a tier 2 tower go down or 2.
Yep, you're going to have to watch your outer part of the map just fade away in terms of control points. You still have March spam at least. You have the arena. You have this theoretically very high regen capability if you can burst someone down in arena. And that's a very big if. Your damage just isn't there. Like, the break could be nice. Maybe you get that burst window onto Natsumi. But once the break fades, I mean, this is a PA who went for the level 15 talent for the material evasion. And that's a lot of missed chances, 53% at the moment. That you are mainly physical. That it's not going to feel great. One tower down, mid to go. Still a lot of time in that Aegis. They've got every spell back up on Talon outside of Roar, which is only 10 seconds off. Chaotic Offering's going to be ready to drop in the middle of these team fights. They're actually looking to force the issue across the map. Pinks came down bot. They see Palos.
Yeah, he just came out of the Silver Edge too. Palos, Avalanche not going to land. He'll have Silver Edge in 1 second, but I don't know if it's going to matter too much here as he'll be caught out, and Palos not even trying because he does see that JoeCam's holding a dust anyway. In fact, so was Makoto. And with that, I mean, while that's happening, John, WS is still just casually pushing out the top lane on his own. He has no fear. He's just here by himself with, I suppose JoeCam is around the corner, but they are not feeling too confident to try and deal with this Beastmaster, even with 4 heroes up.
No, I mean, can you really feel confident? Heck, WS even managed to get the Searing Signet up.
Oh,
right? Isn't that such a lovely combination with the axes, with the drums, popping, burn through every single time? What a lovely neutral. You know, I think that's my favorite part of the patch. The hero changes are kind of cool. Some hero changes are kind of cool, but the neutral changes has been really fun. It feels like an RPG. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. It is a nice change. It's a nice change. I'll give it that.
I wonder why some people complain about it. I see some people on Reddit, it's like, oh, the neutrals suck. It's like, it's kind of okay. It's better than before. I think maybe they're just fundamentally against neutrals, but I think it's fun. I think anything that adds fun and a little bit of complexity and choice is always good.
Not if you're a Dota2 player, Jonathan. Apparently. Not for some people, at least. Top lane. Oh, they're looking at WS. We've seen this before, though. WS might actually just turn. That's the crazy part. Like, he doesn't know who's coming. But he's still willing to force the fight. And they will not go for it, of course. They will just retreat. Not feeling entirely confident they can actually deal with WS here. Oh, they're going to smoke up. But now the rest of Talon are around the corner. This is not the timing they wanted. They'll drop an arena, but it's only onto the Tusk. And now a big golem being dropped by Cuckoo. Upheaval there as well. Makoto's going to work. So is Natsumi. Palos and Shanks both disappearing. Joel is gone to boot. And in they go for CML. I wouldn't blame them for calling it. I wouldn't blame them for just dropping the GGs here. I mean, I appreciate if they want to continue fighting for their lives in this close qualifier, but this would be an understandable call.
That it would be. They've got the banner to protect. Yeah, they call it. Paolo says they've seen enough. And Talon does manage to surge back into a win after a little bit of a rougher day one. They managed to take this 2-0 over Execration. And Cuckoo, you can stream now, Palos.
Turn that damn stream on, Palos. Get it on.
Yesterday